welcome. I am here with Thad Brown. We are going to discuss the Bills-Chiefs AFC Championship game matchup. It's going to be a battle of the team of destiny and the reigning Super Bowl champion. So, Thad, what did you see out of this Chiefs-Browns game that punched Kansas City's ticket to this game?
I mean, basically, this game was the Chiefs just barely hanging on once Patrick Mahomes got hurt. And fortunately for Kansas City, they had built up enough of a lead to get that game to the barn, as it were. And look, I know everybody said this, and I will add my voice to it. Andy Reid's call to not only go for it, but to do it with a pass play with Chad Henne. I mean, that is about the gutsiest thing I've ever seen in the NFL, barring some guy who's played on, torn ACL, broken leg, whatever. In terms of a X and O play call, I mean, I thought it was going to be a take the play clock down to 0, call timeout, think about it, maybe quarterback sneak, but to just go with a flat rollout pass, again, I don't have the words to talk about how amazing that was. And, I think the thing I was thinking about in the fourth quarter of that game was someone other than Pat Mahomes was going to have to make a play. Now, Chad Henne made the play, but to me, it was Andy Reid's call that won them the game.
No, 100%. I think that Andy Reid, he showed what he can do. He's proven it this season, last season, what he can do and just kind of how he's been able to prove himself after, being fired from the Eagles and things like that. But I felt the same way. I saw that and I was like, there's no way he's doing this. And he did it and it worked. And now they're heading to the championship game. That's their third consecutive. And I think the biggest thing that we should talk about with this as well is the Patrick Mahomes concussion. So obviously he's ruled out. He was taken off to get tested, to go through protocol. He will go through more tests tomorrow, according to Kansas City media, but he could be cleared in time for this game. So what are your initial thoughts on Patrick Mahomes' concussion, what Chad Henne looked like, and things like that?
I think the first reaction is for all of us to play Twitter doctor. Everybody does it. Oh, look at how he looked. He was woozy. Couldn't even get on his feet. I don't know how he's going to play next week. And then there's the other side of it, too, where you got the cynic who says there's no way the NFL is not going to have Patrick Mahomes playing in that game. So I don't think it's right for anybody to assume one way or the other what's going to happen. Concussions are a tricky thing. And one thing I will say, as much as everybody, including me, and I'm sure including you too, Alexa, we all want to see Patrick Mahomes in this game. We don't want to see the Chiefs have to go in with Chad Henne. Chad Henne's a fine backup, but this is not the Chiefs because of Chad Henne or the running game or the defense. The Chiefs are the Chiefs because of Pat Mahomes. So we want to see him play. But the Chiefs have a big decision to consider. Remember, Tom Brady won 6 Super Bowls over an 18-year period. That could very well be the Chiefs' future. So if you're the Chiefs and you put Patrick Mahomes out there, maybe on a borderline situation, maybe if you're pushing him a little bit, do you want to risk the next 15 years of dominance and success to play in this one game? Now, look, if Kansas City media is talking about him being cleared tomorrow, then he's probably not in that bad of shape anyway, or assumingly the media is talking about it because the coaches say so. But if he's got a legit issue, then there are big, long-term, franchise-altering, potentially, decisions that the Chiefs have to make this week.
Especially after he signed such a big deal. He has already been paid, and you can't take that back. So I obviously don't know Patrick Mahomes' concussion history, but, if this is a first or second concussion, maybe they get away with it if his tests go well tomorrow. However, if this is concussion 5 or 6, maybe the answer is to sit him. But obviously we can't continue to speculate because we're never going to know. But I think that we need to take it back now to week 6, prime time, Bills-Chiefs in Buffalo. The big thing with that game that I think we all remember and stuck out to us was that there were more rushing yards than passing yards by Kansas City. And they completely exploited the Bills' lack of run defense back in those days. I think obviously the defense has developed a different identity. They've gotten a lot better since then. But how do you think they're going to restructure a game plan to go up against whatever quarterback and all of those weapons that Kansas City's offense has?
Let's assume it's Pat Mahomes, for the sake of this discussion. Because if it's Chad Henne, then really the Bills can play any defense. They're going to be fine. If it's Mahomes, I don't think the Bills go with the scheme they went with in that game, which is basically to back everybody off and beg the Chiefs to run the ball. I think the Bills are going to play it a little more straight up. The thing about this defense, and you talked about the fact, they have a different identity. Well, they didn't have any identity back in that game. They're trying to figure themselves out. Now they know who they are, and they've been successful enough against the run not to feel like they're going to be overly exploited in this game. But this game's not going to be about the run. It's going to be about defending the pass. And I think the Bills will stay with what they've been doing lately, which is being attacking, blitzing team. They might mix the blitzes up. They're going to try and confuse Patrick Mahomes, but they're going to bring the pressure, and they're going to try and get to him. They're going to try and cause him problems. And it's a risk because teams that succeed against Mahomes usually do it by rushing only 4 guys. And the Bills have players who can do it, but I don't think a 4-man rush predominantly for Buffalo wins them this game against the Chiefs. But for me, the bigger part of this game is going to be the Bills' offense. And a little long-winded here, but I want to explain this. The 2 playoff games so far, the Ravens, sure, they only scored 3 points, but they're more a defensive team than an offensive team. They held the Bills to 10 offensive points. The Colts, who are a running team, ran the ball for $150. They're a very disciplined team. They had 2 penalties, 0 turnovers. The point is, at this level, teams are good enough that they're going to do their good things against you. What are the Chiefs good at? Scoring points. This is not a game the Bills are going to be able to win 2017. They got to put up 34 to win. So this is going to come down to one simple thing. Can Josh Allen and this offense be who they've been the last month of the season? The Kansas City defense is okay, but below average. If Josh executes and Stephon Diggs, they do all their things, then the Bills can win this game.
Another thing I noticed when I was looking back at the stats from that game, it's been a while, you have to double check everything, but the Chiefs had 15 and a half more minutes of possession time during this game. So that's another thing too, is winning the possession battle. Have you noticed that, taking a look at that? Because you know how Andy Reid runs the clock. You know how those plays are called, and you know how his clock management works.
Well, I think for the Bills, it's just a matter of not losing it by 15 minutes. At least be competitive when it comes to time of possession. And it's not so much time of possession, but number of possessions. That game was shortened because the Bills let the Chiefs run it so much. They spun so much clock. And I think the Bills need to get comfortable with the idea that their best way to win this game is to get in a shootout with Kansas City. And for probably 29, maybe 30 other teams in the NFL, that's suicide. But for Buffalo, they can make that work. And I think that's the way they're going to have to attack this. Be willing. We're going to do our offense against your offense, and we'll see who the better team is.
I couldn't agree more with that. Thank you so much for chatting about this game with me. Obviously, we'll have so much more coverage coming later this week. You can check it all out on RochesterFirst.com. Until then, we'll see you next time.